week we are going to be botanists. So botanist is someone who studies plants. They are experts on all different types of plants, such as trees, flowers, algae, cacti, and even plants that we eat, like fruits and vegetables. So you might be wondering if there are any botanists that study in Iowa. There are actually. Two good examples that I can think of are Green Iowa AmeriCorps and the Tallgrass Prairie Center. Let's talk a little bit about Green Iowa AmeriCorps and what they do. So Green Iowa's goal is to help local communities be more environmentally and energy conscious. That means that they are advocates for plants and their environment that we and they live in. Their jobs are taking what botanists study and acting on it. Closely related to botany, they advocate for the environment and they try to get people to make more environmentally sound decisions. Green Iowa AmeriCorps also partners with the Tallgrass Prairie Center, so let's look at their sites. The Tallgrass Prairie Center also helps care for the environment, but they focus on the prairie. Did you know that 80% of Iowa used to be covered in prairie before we tilled the land for farming? Today, less than 0.1% of Iowa's prairie remains. We need organizations like the Tallgrass Prairie Center to plant more prairie plants because prairie plants help reduce flooding, improve the soil, and provide a home for Iowa's wildlife. One thing that botanists do is create drawings of what they observe. So if they're studying a plant, they often draw it to give to other scientists to study. So it's a lot easier to transport and send illustrations of plants than it is to mail plants. So that is one good use of a botanist illustration. They are also beautiful if you look at them. They have lots of detail, but they also kind of simplify the plant, which is a good way to kind of look at plants, especially if you need to study them, because you don't want to be confused by what you see. So this week we'll be creating our own botanical illustrations. Again, this week you'll have options for how you want to go about this. This first option is to create an observational drawing of the plant that you choose. So you need to choose a real plant that's either inside your house or outside. Either way works. You need to practice looking back and forth between the object you're drawing, your plant, and your drawing itself. So you shouldn't be staring at your paper the whole time. So this one has quite a bit of detail in it, and I even added some shading. A good thing to do after is to even label your plant, if you know what type it is. Your next option is to create a drawing with different media. So you can use color pencils, paint, markers, whatever you have on hand to add some color to your drawing. So I'm creating a sketch this time in pen. I usually prefer drawing in pen because it's smoother, and I like that if I make a mistake, I kind of just have to live with it. So you can do pen or pencil with this, whatever works for you. This time I'm drawing the main plant, a leaf, and the root system of the plant to go into a little bit more detail. After I'm finished with my plant, I'm going to use some watercolor to add color. One thing I didn't check before I started watercoloring is that my pen is not waterproof, so some of my pen kind of leaks into my painting. If you don't have watercolor paints, you can also create your own by coloring on foil with water-based markers. So any washable markers will work for this, so you can create your own paint. I also went in after and added some details in colored pencil. Collage is another way that you can make your own botanical illustration this week. This is actually my favorite way to create, and I had a lot of fun making this. So I am just using some old magazines I had lying around that I no longer needed to make this collage. I started by drawing the shape of my stems on the elephant, which I felt was the perfect texture for the stem. I am recreating the jade plant that I have in front of me, which is my oldest plant that I have. So after I drew the stems, I decided to cut them out, and then I moved on to arranging them on my paper. I think it's important to arrange your pieces before you glue them down so that way you can decide if you need to cut them differently or move them before you glue them. Next, I cut out my leaves. So this time I did not draw the shape of my leaves before I cut them out. You can if you'd like, but I just found it easier just to go in and cut them. I cut different sizes because I noticed that there's different sizes of leaves on my plants. I also chose different colors of green to put on my collage because I think it'd be kind of boring if I just put the same green over and over again. Adding different color variations adds more contrast and interest to your overall collage. After I finished gluing all of my pieces down, I decided that I wanted to make the pot that my plant is planted in. I did this by drawing, but how else could you make your pot? Would you like to collage it? Should you draw it in pencil or pen? Or do you want to add color like I did? You choose what's right for your picture because that is what matters most. Have some fun with these different creating methods. Remember that you can draw in different media. You can draw in pencil, you can draw with pen or colorful media like colored pencil or paint, or you can create a collage like I did. If you come up with a different way to recreate a plant that you have around, let me know. I'd love to hear about it.